You ever get that feeling in your stomach before you do something bad that something is inside you telling you not to do it? Well, that's kind of like my whole life.
Man, that's that joint. That's that joint. Man, this that.
As a young man growing up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, on the east side of Winston-Salem, pretty much everything was kind of a whirlwind for me. Not only that, my mother was young when she had me, 17 years old, and to follow my sister 11 months later, and to later meet a man who became my father, which I didn't really like to use the name stepfather, but he was my father. And to move around so many times around the city, it kind of, to me, even though it was a father in my household, I still consider it to be a dysfunctional family. So we never grew up in church. We never went to church every Sunday. Never even heard about Jesus. I've heard people say the GD word and use Jesus out of context, but I never heard him in the sense of him being this man coming down as a man, dying for us, being raised and sitting at the right hand of the throne and soon to return. Never heard anything about that. So I was considered to be a very rebellious child growing up. I was constantly in trouble, just hanging out with the neighborhood boys and things of that nature. It was pretty crazy. I got a lot of butt whippings, but never got it right. As I grew older, I became more rebellious. A lot of times it was because I needed a father. I needed some substance to fill a hole that I had in my heart, because I didn't have my father, my real father in my life. My real father was alcoholic. He wasn't abusive. He just wasn't around. He worked a lot. He wasn't just never around to spend a lot of time with me. So I rebelled. That's the reason why I was the way I was. As a teenager, I started to get into drugs, smoking marijuana, just drinking. I mean, I'm talking about before teenager, 12 years old, playing Pop Warner football, high on the field. I mean, probably a lot of y'all probably relate to that. Drinking, hanging around older cats in the neighborhood, whether they were good people or bad people or what they did, they were dudes that kept us out of trouble, kind of, sort of, but we were just the young dudes around, and we kind of looked up to those dudes. As a teenager, I grew up to be a lot like those guys, having promiscuous sex with different women, going out to parties, trying different drugs and things of that nature. Eventually I started to get into trouble with the law and got locked up a couple times. I ain't gonna say a couple times, a lot of times. And I remember the first time somebody came and witnessed to me. I was high, going to the store, getting a blunt from the store, and the dude walked up to me and he said, "Don't you know God has a plan for you?" And I'm really thinking to myself, like, dude, man, I'm going to the store, about to go get high. Like, can you get out of my way? But I was really respectful, and I just, told him, I'm good. Not knowing that, thinking that I was saved. I ain't know nothing about being saved at all. I told the dude I was saved, got my blunt, went to the house and did whatever I did. But another time after that, like I said, I was just getting in trouble, getting locked up and stuff. There was people coming to me even in my jail cell. I mean, in the cell block that I was locked up at, there was a guy that would come up to my cell during times where it was maybe shower time or meal time. He would come down to my cell and we'd be sitting there, and he'll swap out the Bible verses to me, and never really asked me was I saved, but he was just inspiring me to know a lot about the word, and I still didn't understand the word. So getting out in 2001, getting out of jail then in 2001, I was still rebellious, still wanting to go out, smoke, drink, hang out, party, and all this good stuff. And at the same time, still try to keep a straight face at my grandma, because my grandma was getting sick at that time. And I felt something really heavy pull on me at that time. And I was searching for something. I didn't know what I was searching for. And my grandma was like, I don't understand why you're so angry. You just need to let go and let God. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, Grandma, but it's hard out here. It's, I can't get no job. I just got out of jail. My homeboys jumped me, and I'm going through all this other stuff, and I'm just like, I'm tired of it. And she's like, look, I'm gonna get you this bus ticket, and you go stay with your sister and get yourself together. But you need to let go and let God. So I took the bus ticket and I went, and I stopped drinking. And at that time, I was going to church with my sister up in Ohio. I was going to church with her every other Sunday, but I was still going to the clubs, hanging out, drinking. So I was still tripping over myself, at that time. From 2002 to 2004, I was still falling, going to church, drinking, school. Then I graduated, and I was like, oh my goodness, how did I get here? And I really started to think about the rest of my life. So my sister at the time, she graduated and she transferred. We came back to North Carolina. I was still drinking, trying to get myself together. I entered into the community college, going through all this other stuff with females. And like I said, I'm still hanging out and, still not getting the message. And I'm still getting that, hold on, something's going on. Stop what you're doing. But I'm still pushing on. So one day in 2009, I never forget it. 2009, I'm sitting in my room with my girlfriend, and I was really stressed out at the time, and just frustrated, not wanting to let go, and I broke down. And I remember her opening the Bible to John. She told me to read it. I'm reading it, and I looked up at her and I just started crying. I said, I don't understand these words. I don't understand nothing on this page. She said, read it again. So I'm reading it again and I'm not understanding. So I broke down. So, she's crying, I'm crying. She didn't know what else to do, so I called my sister. She said, look, if I come over here, it ain't gonna be no more riding the fence. You gonna either pick what side you gonna be on. So she came over, and we went to her house, and my little sister was here from Florida at that time, and we all went to her house, and they were praying in tongues, and I didn't know nothing about the Holy Spirit or nothing. They sitting there, I'm like, this is a seance. But they were praying over me. And they had the worship music going, and I felt something just tug on me. I started crying again. And I said, God, I know this has got to be you. And if it's you, when I get up tomorrow, I'm going to church. And I'm getting saved. I want to get saved. I want you to just come into my heart. And I went to church that day, and the message was just like it was perfect. It was perfect. Everything understood. I understood everything. Every word he said, even the scriptures that he was reading, I understood everything. And And I asked Jesus to come to my life in 2009. And ever since then, I've just been striving to ask God to keep using me to spread his word. So wherever I go, I'm going to tell it.
Don't compare me to him, cause we're not the same at all. Our creator so perfect, no flaws. That's enough to shout about up in them halls.